It might sound like this is a made-up story. It's not. I contacted Paul with regards to sorting out my superannuation because it was a bit of a mess. So I met him and we discussed about, I've been brought up in the UK in a very working class background, and we had no financial directions from our family. So I know nothing about money. So I spoke to Paul and said, look, I'm just terrified about the whole thing. And he said, well, look, you've got to have a different outlook on it. And to be quite honest, Paul has really opened me up to not being scared of money and investing it in. I'm a very tentative investor, I must admit. I don't want to lose my money. So I'm just saying to him, what do you recommend? And he's come up with a plan for me for my superannuation. But getting away from that, a little bit of my story was when I met him, I was living, I've only known him for 3 weeks, and he's just opened my total eyes, my total perspective on what to do with life. And what happened was I was renting a unit on the in Ramsgate, and it was a little pokey old unit, so claustrophobic, and I'd been there for 2 years and I hated it. I really hated it. And he just said, he said, look, Phil, invite the right vibes into your life and it will happen. And I was like, oh, and I'll be genuine now, I did not believe what he said. I got a phone call through about a week later from a friend of mine I've not spoken to in 10, 15 years. And we went down to the 60-foot skiff club, and we were having drinks and whatever. And he said, how's your life going? I said, well, at the moment, I'm in a bit of a turmoil. I said, I hate where I live. And he said, well, where are you living? I said, Ramsgate Beach. And he said, oh, well, that's a nice area. And I went, it's the place I'm living in is so pokey. It's called Death's Waiting Room because nobody speaks to you in this block. To cut a long story short, he said to me, my son's moving out of my ground floor of my house. He said, would you like to move in? So I thought, wow, that's a great, yeah. So I decided to come round. I went round about a couple of days later, looked at the place. He put it for auction 6 months ago for $4.5 million. It's an absolutely beautiful house. It's a 4-story house on the water. And I said to him, wow, I said, can I show me around? I went out the backyard. His pool is like a resort. It's absolutely amazing. And I'm not making this up, guys. I walked into the house and I said, wow. I said, when can I move in? And he said, next week. And I said, how much rent? And I'm paying $420 in Ramsgate Beach. He said to me, how does 500 sound a week fully furnished? And I'm not kidding, guys. Some days it might sound like this is a made-up story. It's not. And my life has changed within 2.5 weeks. And I've started reading. I've started reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which Paul recommended. That's all semi-sinking in. But things are happening for me now, and I'm really happy. Encourage you guys that things can change, and my life is definitely changing because I've opened my eyes.